welcome back to another episode of the Day After Podcast, and oh boy.
This was, I think, just addressing the elephant in the room straight up. This episode was very uncomfortable.
Yes, without a doubt, the worst episode of the season, without a doubt. By far.
Because I watched it this morning, because I'm usually busy at nights, and, afterwards I just had to go for a run because I did not. And it's not like I'm numb to these subject matters.
Yeah.
I watched 13 Reasons Why. They bring it up all the time. But I think because the fact that it was, in Survivor, and it was so heavily...
The entire... because it was technically two episodes.
Two episodes
of it all being that.
Yeah, and when you're going for, Survivor, I'm in it for the gameplay. I'm in it for that. Granted... like I said, I watch media that tackles these issues, but usually it's a self-contained story and not real people.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just it's really hard to explain because it's I want to watch Survivor to get away from all this.
Yeah, and
then it gets brought into it, and it's.
This has been a season where a lot of social issues have been brought up, and those can be important. And I'd say up until this point, it seemed like a good enough balance. But this one, it just hammered and hammered.
The social issues usually happen at tribal only. And that was fine, because the gameplay had already happened, and it was all strategy and all that stuff, and then they were bringing up these social issues. This was very much the entire episode strategy was being involved with the social issues, and that's the problem.
We'll talk more about that in a sec, because there were some things where it did not necessarily sit well with me.
No, not at all.
But let's bring it back to the very start, where basically Nora blows up Kelly's game.
Yes, and this is what I thought was going to happen when Kelly played that, had that whole plan. I was like, that's a great move, but not a good move.
Getting Nora involved is just when you involve Nora.
Yeah,
it's just a wild card. You can't trust a wild card if you're doing a blind side like that.
Yeah, and what was she supposed to say to Nora? Hey, so I need you to take the bullet for this one and just say that you voted with Dean.
Also, what was the point of that even?
Yeah,
it was
Nora didn't need a vote. Dean could have been the only vote for.
Yeah. And then, if anything, that helps your case.
Yeah, I know. That doesn't. That was definitely the flaw of that plan.
Yeah, definitely. But who cares about tribes now? Now we are one. We are merged.
We hit the merge. Karishma was so excited because she never went on a reward before.
Yeah.
So now she finally got to eat. She missed out on the Applebee's. So now she got to finally get some food in her belly.
That's nice.
Yeah. And then we start with the uncomfortability and the feast.
With Dan tickling. And
yes, and I know you've been saying over the past weeks, it's the LA thing to kind of, be a little touchy, but
it's starting to... Janet, I actually wrote it down. Janet put it best when she was describing it early on. It was you don't necessarily... Because, you don't necessarily look at these things and be like, oh, yeah. It's not necessarily you... When this is starting out, because there are touchy-feely people, and, it's something that, you see, and that's just how they are. She even said that, she touches people that, people that she works with, and things like that. I'm one, I joke around with my roommates. Sometimes we wrestle.
Yeah.
One of my roommates jokes about touching my abs all the time, and I'm like, no,
nope,
but
nope.
It's all good fun. It's a joke.
But it's also different with, first off, gender norms of guys should not be.
Kelly was not comfortable with it, but Dan, I guess was oh, he's more comfortable. He's not thinking about it.
And there was a lot of kind of hey, Dan, you should back off.
And there comes a point where it's you can't really. It's become a bigger issue because he can't.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily see it, or he's unconscious of it.
Yeah.
And so
it's just part of his nature at this point, and it's scary because if he is doing that in his field and everything,
which I don't
I'm hoping he doesn't, but if he's that oblivious to him doing that, it's scary.
It might be different in the sense of he's behind a desk.
Yeah.
You know, like there's that, and then like I know with like my agents, he's a manager, but very very similar profession.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I usually when I go to them, like they're on one side of the desk, I'm on the other, and you know, like it's we don't hug or anything. You know, like we'll handshake, maybe high five. One time I had a glass of wine with them.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. It was like a Dixie cup, but it was so cool.
It was a Dixie cup of wine. Classy.
But, you know, it's like, there's like a professional thing. Out here, it's not necessarily a professional setting. So I guess, like, you know, the guards come down a little bit. Plus when you're, you know, you're around someone for like 24 hours, 39 days, you know,
yeah.
The shields are gonna come down. Like, you know, we all have like our like little selves that we like to show in front of people.
Yeah.
But after a while, you know, you just be yourself around people.
Yeah. I definitely get all that, but there's definitely that line that was 100% crossed.
Yes, it was
100% crossed tonight. And yeah, and it's like you could follow the breadcrumb the entire way from episode 1 to now of just those random shots of Dan touching people just here and there, and people being like, "Hey Dan, maybe you shouldn't do that."
And then what I did appreciate was that, you know, the producers, and I thought this was it was like they had a meeting and stuff off camera, and they talked to Dan.
That was so surreal because we saw cameramen, we saw the boom operators, we saw the producer literally talking to Kelly in this moment. And
it's like, I feel the way they handled it, where it was like just text, they didn't have to show it, and then I was like, all right, we can move on from that, but unfortunately,
I thought that was the end of that story arc.
But unfortunately,
no, this is where the episode got from bad to worse.
Yeah, and then, well, I mean, we had the challenge, which you know, first individual immunity challenge, which was cool.
Yes. Aaron is a beast, as we probably assumed.
Winning that, well, I mean, we all kind of knew, you know, muscle guy, they usually, you know, do well.
Yeah.
And that's why they're usually the first targets.
Yeah.
Which, I guess, like, part of the reason why, you know, he didn't really get much heat this episode, besides everything else, was, you know, like, he won back-to-back immunity challenges, which is impressive, and also it's like,
he's 100% a target now, though, because if you win 2 back-to-back immunity challenges, there's why won't they target you when you're not when you don't win?
Exactly. And you know, I thought the challenge was cool. It was
different.
It was very different. I feel it was something of like, it was definitely more like a suspense thing. It's like, oh, his first ball drop, his second ball drop. Yeah. Or like, I thought it was an interesting one.
And we had a good showdown between Aaron and Jamal.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Jamal went so hard that he literally dropped afterwards.
I mean,
and not like a bad drop.
I know, it's more like, oh man, I can't believe I lost that.
Yeah, I think it was just I think he hit his limit, and he knew he hit his limit, and he just had to get down.
And he was a bit upset with himself. Sorry, I'm switching the note. But I mean, I've been there. I think anyone that's ever tried really hard at something and then they just lose by this much, it's like you feel it.
Yeah. But Aaron wins the first immunity challenge, so that was cool. And then we get to this next.
Can I say before we go into all that?
Go for it.
I give respect to Karishma because she actually made it far in that challenge.
Yes, she did. She beat almost the majority of the people. Yeah. Good for her.
Which I'm like, all right. Maybe.
Well, I want her to win an immunity challenge. How funny would that be?
She would win some points with me. I'd be like, that respect. Yeah. That respect.
My guess is how funny it would be if it was a Nora, Karishma, and Dan final 3. You gotta vote for Karishma at that point.
Yeah. But I did write a joke about why Aaron won. It was because he had the little chewing stick in his mouth.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he became a little more badass in that moment.
Badass, little twig in one mouth.
Yeah.
Sun socks on the feet. Mm-hmm. Big ass muscles.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, do we want to get into
Yeah.
the meat and potatoes of this episode? Because this was the majority of the episode.
Yeah,
is
so
happening now.
I will say this. Granted, I understood why they were like, all right, let's try and get Dan out.
Yes.
But, and in my head, I'm like, all right, maybe, it was still fresh, so obviously it was going to come up
Yeah.
when it to things like that. But when Elizabeth was like, oh yeah, he touched me and stuff, because she admitted to this on camera.
Yes, she did.
And used that for gameplay. That's what everyone was talking about in the sense of like, that's what Janet was talking about. It was like, it's being used as gameplay now, and it's like,
yes,
it was sickening.
Yeah, no, if you're saying that just to try to further your game, that's where it gets.
Because Dan, whether or not he's aware of this or like all that aside, that's still a serious thing to just
even
say something like that, because I've been in a role recently where I was on Lover's Lane and we're supposed to fake make out and stuff like that, and I was being super careful, making sure whoever my scene partner was, that she was comfortable with whatever we were doing and stuff like that, because especially with Dan, like, that ruins people's reputations, their
outside
lives.
of the game too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so and obviously since he's in Hollywood, where he even said the Me Too movement started here.
Yeah.
And so like him being a part of the business, it affects him pretty heavily, especially because it's still a raw topic.
Yeah. It's fresh. They say that Survivor really mirrors real life, and we really got that this season. It was, yeah.
Yes, but this episode I feel was a lot, and it's like, I understand why, because it was to the point where it was unavoidable.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't do this episode. There was no way to edit around it.
Yeah.
Because it just was so prominent in both tribal councils and around camp life.
Yeah, I think it definitely suffered from being a 2-episode thing, and I get why they had to do a 2-episode, because that was the full story of what's going to be told here.
But it was just taxing.
Yeah, it was really hard to continue watching at some points.
I know.
I definitely was scrolling through my phone at certain points because I was just like,
there was a point at the very end of the episode, and we'll get there when it's the second half. But like, I don't even care who goes home right now. Like, this isn't fun.
Yeah, I know. Now. I wanted to move on to the next episode, but even then, like, there's a lot of people who are very much like, this is the end of. I'm not watching the rest of the season. Yeah. This episode just ruined it for them.
But that part aside, so Kelly actually found 2 immunity idols the same episode.
Yes. She found one right after Dean. Well, she gave it to Dean, and Dean played it. She found it on that camp, and then she found it right when they got to the new merge camp,
which was like awesome. It's like, all right, now like, because I started to root for Kelly because she was making some good moves.
Yeah.
Despite telling Nora anything.
Yeah. No. She was still making moves at least.
Yeah.
And she was looking for idols. That's great. A lot of female contestants don't usually do it.
But I mean, it was a great thing that like, her as a player, it was like, all right, she seemed to be like more of a threat, and because we all worry. You've expressed your feelings that we're worried that like, with the new meta, once all the big threats are gone, do we even have a season anymore?
Yeah. And it's almost coming to be the same thing, because a lot of big threats are going.
Yeah, I mean, we still got some people still there.
We have a few, but
when she didn't play her idols, I don't. Even if I know they are safe, there's always that, oh crap, did they just make a big fail? Like, feeling in your heart where it's like. And then when she got voted out, I couldn't help but be like, feel so bad, because it's always rough going home when you could have prevented it.
Yeah.
It's even worse when you could have done it and still, you know, like be
Had
safe for the next one.
Had another idol in your pockets. Yeah. So as I was telling you off camera, I think this is going to be the meta now of if you ever find 2 hidden immunity idols and have both of them in your possession, you just play one.
Especially at the merge, because I feel like that's something where there's so much craziness going on. Lines are drawn there. Nothing is already established.
It's almost impossible to predict what happens in that merge episode.
Yeah, because it's all about who goes with what alliance and everything like that. And also, it relieves you from being a threat, a potential threat. It's like, all right, they don't have an idol anymore. Mm-hmm. That means there's possibly another idol in the game, and since she had 2, whether or not, you know, they were going to put another one out there, up to chance.
Exactly.
But it was brutal, and I felt bad, especially since she was already through the ringer this episode.
Yeah, like, and this is just one of those cases, like, if Survivor was scripted, for any of you guys who are out there who are like, oh, I don't know, Dan would have gone home. Survivor would have never let Kelly, the one who was going through all this, be the one to go home with 2 idols in her pockets.
That was brutal. But but and then, you know, I thought maybe, all right, the second half it would be okay, but
no.
What I did like was Janet finding an idol.
Yeah.
I mean, she was trying to say, hey, you know, you know, here's the reason I voted out, and then talking, but I think this is the longest, you know, time they've spent on an episode about the aftermath of a tribal council, like at nighttime before the sun even came up. It was like,
they spent a long time. I was like, damn, they're really giving this a lot more time,
because
I get why, but this is not what I watch Survivor for. This is what no one watches Survivor for.
We watch it for like the gameplay, the strategy, and stuff
the fun
like that.
characters, the fun moments. But this was had none of that, or at least none of that.
It didn't really have a lot. It's just all overshadowed. Like, you know, if we strip that away, a lot of cool stuff happened. Kelly got 2 idols in the same episode
and got voted out.
Yeah,
with that's still a cool moment. Like, but regardless.
And then, like, Janet, who's, you know, one of our favorite contestants.
She's the oldest person to ever find an idol. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah.
See? Something like that happened. And
yes.
Unfortunately, like, this episode is always going to be remembered as the time, you know, sexual awareness was just so prominent in an episode. It made so many people uncomfortable. And, But, to move on from that, Jamal and Karishma, they were, you know, gathering wood or whatever, and then they find a note hanging there.
Yes, this seems so unfair. By the way, I hated this one so much.
It did seem a bit shitty because it wasn't like, well, I mean, obviously you're gonna pick up the note.
Yeah, and you're obviously gonna go that. Well, who in their right mind would pick up the note and be like, no? Who would do that?
Because, let's say you didn't pick up the note. Let's say you planted it on someone.
Yeah.
Who's to say that wasn't an advantage in this game?
Exactly. There's no reason for you to assume that's going to be bad.
Exactly. And then the fake note thing, that one was... You see, my problem was that all their, you know, stuff was printed. It was printed out on a piece of parchment.
So now, all of a sudden, Jamal just writes it, and he has to be like, oh, well, they gave it to me. And there was, like, this whole thing, and it was like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Yes. On it, it was, and then the whole legacy advantage thing, I'm like, there were different ways he could have done that.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that Dean did not just throw that in the ocean regardless.
Yeah.
I was like, why would you not...
It was on his birthday too. Like, Jamal gave it to him on his birthday.
This is like just painting a big target on his back for, like, you know, like. Now I get, you know, like, he's a big threat, at least to your game, but at the same time, dude, you know what you're doing.
Yeah, no, this this was definitely the worst Island of the Idol twists of the twists.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And I was thinking, how would you spin it? How would you spin this? The fake note.
I mean, I would definitely have it, or he has to play it at the next tribal council.
Or I would say maybe it could have been a thing of like he got a fake idol, hide it in there.
Yeah, or maybe he gives it to Dean, and if Dean plays it, it can save both him and Dean. Like
maybe.
So that way that there could still be that little like suspicion of, ooh, should we vote for Jamal here, or do we have to wait till next tribal?
Yeah.
Like you can be creative in that sense. Make some new rule up.
I guess like my first instinct when I saw the blank note was, make a fake idol.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of the reasons why fake idols, at least when they're found, don't work, is either A, they don't have a note, or B, because I've seen seasons where they ask for the note too.
Yeah.
Because fake idols are prominent.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, unless you've already found an idol, it's hard to really sell that fake idol.
Exactly. So, I would say, yeah, it would have looked a little suspicious if it was like, oh, this is a hidden immunity idol. But, it's more believable and I feel less damaging to Jamal's game than what he decided to do with it.
Yeah, definitely. So far, we've had kind of the worst twist and worst moments of the season, all in this one episode.
Yeah. And then, so the immunity challenge. I thought it was cool, two people getting immunity, especially since we'll talk about what they're doing next episode.
Yeah.
Two people for immunity. I think that, it's always nice.
Yeah.
Just see how that shakes things up because, now two people that could be threats could have immunity. Like,
yeah.
let's say Dan and Karishma both got it. Because that's who they were targeting afterwards.
Yeah.
It was like, who would you... It's like, crap, what do we do after that? So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This was definitely a tough challenge in my opinion. I don't think I would have lasted that long.
I think what's hard about this challenge, I think I would do okay. It's the fact of, like, it's mass to arm strength, that kind of ratio.
Yeah.
Because Jamal's a big guy, he's a strong guy, but he's holding up all of him.
Yeah, and he's not, like, muscular to the sense where, like, he's... Like, I don't think he's going to the gym every day, no. Aaron.
But he's like he's a big guy, so, like, like, he can definitely lift stuff up. It's just, like...
This was not his challenge.
No. Well, no challenge will be his challenge now.
Yeah, exactly. Good points.
But, I do give props to Elaine. She had the most, creative way of dropping out of a challenge.
Yeah, she flipped.
Doing a flip.
That's how you want to go out right there.
Yeah, and then just props to, Aaron for, winning another one in a row.
Yeah, second immunity challenge. That target is just getting a little bigger.
Maybe, but, like, the thing about that is, I don't know. Because especially, we'll see how things play out.
I mean, if he gets into a good alliance and they keep him to win immunity so that they can then target all the other people who...
Because, there's not necessarily just something wrong with having, like, someone in your alliance who can win immunity. It's how you want to play the game. Like, if you have someone in your core alliance and they're really good at challenges and they win as opposed to, all of them. Granted, you're not safe, but you have the majority alliance and, you have these three people that don't have idols and hopefully not immunity idols. You just target them.
Yeah, that's what Yul did in Cook Islands with Ozzy. Yeah. Ozzy was just winning all of them. Even though Yul was a big guy, he never won an immunity challenge.
No, he didn't need to.
Yeah, exactly.
He literally didn't need to.
Yeah, he had the
broken idol.
The broken idol. That's why.
When it was new. The broken idol.
Yeah, I'm glad that they got rid of that version of it because it's not good.
Especially people. Well, I mean, because people knew, and then it was like. Can't really do it. It's like can't really vote him out because I might get voted out instead.
Yeah, then it'll just be okay. Then I guess one of us are going to randomly get targeted.
Exactly.
And it's like, do you want to risk it?
No, you don't. But so back at camp, like people were. I mean, people were like talking about Janet. People were talking about Karishma, and then Dan came back up. and then like everyone talking, scrambling, and it was more of the talk about Dan in general.
Yeah, just all focused on Dan. It's
like I even wrote in my note because there was a point where I stopped writing notes because it was just a lot of it was uncomfortable. I did not feel comfortable being like, oh yes, they did this and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it was no, it was.
It's what. Yeah, I think Dan needs to just get voted out already.
There was a point during Tribal where I thought he was legit going to be give up.
Yeah.
When Jeff, was asking him a question about the whole thing, he was like, "Is this just going to be what Tribal is from now on?"
Yeah.
And it felt like he was about to quit, and Janet almost quit.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was such a. It was brutal.
Yeah.
It was emotionally taxing, and.
Yeah. I was not ready for this. I was watching it at midnight at this point, and I was just like, I want to go to sleep. I'm tired. This has been too much for me to handle, and I'm about to go to sleep. And I'm like, come on, just end this already.
Yeah, and like I even said in the beginning, I didn't really care who went home at that point. I just wanted that to be over, and I wanted to move on from it.
Yeah, I think everyone is in the same boat. If they bring it up again next episode,
I hope because I feel like they still might. Hopefully, it's just a little thing, and then they move on from it.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, there are shows that I watch that tackle these subject issues.
Yeah, and you're watching it for that reason.
Exactly, because whether you like 13 Reasons or not, that's you're entitled to your opinion, but one of the things I like about the show is it does bring up these social issues to light, and Survivor, while it does tackle some, it's not what it's about.
Yeah, exactly. No one is sitting down and being like, what social issues are going to be tackled today?
Yeah, exactly.
It's about the strategy, it's the characters, it's the storylines, but not that storyline.
Yeah. And then Janet got rid of her idol because she felt like she was probably going to go home because she felt like she messed up, which after that I probably would have too.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily blame her.
Yeah, there was just too much going on, and she was definitely a focal point of a lot of it, so I get playing your idol there.
Yeah, and then when Jamal left, I'm like...
And then there goes our, best storyteller of the season.
Yeah,
because he's just great in confessionals, now he's gone, so...
Oh, man, at least he gets to hang out with Jack again.
Yes, and Kelly. The three of the dynamic threesome.
Well, I mean, I feel like now that the game is over for them, Jack or Jamal and Kelly will probably get along.
Yeah, that's usually what happens at Ponderosa. I'm gonna be scared when Dan goes and has that, and that Ponderosa is gonna suck with Tim and. There's no way he's going to day 39, is there?
I highly doubt it at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall. So, do we even want to do greatest player? And
that's what I've been struggling because I've been thinking all day.
Because
there's no one I feel comfortable giving greatest player to.
I would say because he won 2 challenges, I would say Aaron.
Yeah, I guess Aaron.
But
that's
I still think he deserves it because out of what little of Survivor was in this episode of Survivor, he came out on top, and then for the worst.
At the same time, remember that one tribal where he was just like, I know women, my mom's woman, all these people are women, and so I would know if something's going on. And
he did say that, but
the thing is, in my opinion, every person who went through this had some problem, either gameplay, them being persons, something.
At least because I just boiled it down to Survivor, and that's why I chose Aaron.
Yeah, I guess I'd go Janet maybe, but at least her.
She wasn't wrong in what she was trying to do.
Yeah.
It's just that, A, Dan didn't get voted out, and B, like, it was something that just would not be put to rest.
Yeah. And then worst player, and then yet again, I don't feel comfortable doing worst player because, like, you want to say Dan. Like, as a person, you have to say Dan. But gameplay-wise...
I mean, you can't argue Kelly going home with two idols.
Exactly. And I'm not a fan of usually picking the person who goes home unless they deserved it. And, like, that was, like, you should have played it.
Part of me, just because... Yeah, I would say Survivor-wise, I would say Kelly. If we're talking about all this stuff, Elizabeth made the problem worse.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, denying it. She admitted that it was part of her strategy to play along. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that was part of the issue. And why got up.
She was telling Janet one thing and then Dan the other thing, and playing both sides in that way, and making them hear what they want to hear.
Which is uncomfortable, and it's like...
Yeah.
And like, it was... So, I think... Maybe for Elizabeth thing, because I'm gonna choose her because like it added to this fire that I
don't know. I think I might actually give the worst player to the entire tribe. I think the whole thing was just handled bad from almost everyone involved.
That's fair.
In some regards.
Yeah.
So I think that's just what I gotta do.
And I respect it.
Yeah.
But next time a Survivor. So I always watch what's going to happen next, and it's going to be one tribal council where 2 people will be eliminated.
Yeah, so another 2 people are going home. Who's going home in this next one?
It's going to be, I guess it depends on who wins immunity, and
yeah.
I don't even know what to think where the show or how alliances and stuff are even going to go after this episode.
Yeah. I feel like if there's 2 people going home, the second vote might be Dan. Like, if that's just the easy vote to get that second one out there.
I mean, it also depends on A, is it like, the 2 people with the most votes go home?
Yeah.
Or B, are they going to have back-to-back tribal with the same people, with the same immunity?
I'm guessing back-to-back tribals.
Yeah, because
it would be too messy if it's... Because a lot of times only 2 people get votes in general. So it's just the 2 people who get votes to go home.
Also, that would be interesting because, like, if someone plays an idol for one, they might be gone for the next one.
Yeah.
Like, let's say if it was, I don't know, who is it?
No one has idols right now. Island of the Idols. No idols in play.
Yeah.
Kelly found them, went home. Janet found one, used it.
Jamal had one, used it. Like, the idols have not been, except for Dean, haven't really been used to their full potential.
Not at all.
Or,
Elaine used the advantage right.
Yes, she did.
I feel like Island of Idols needs to start giving out idols again, because they started off giving you idols, and now they're not.
I think, it's like they're trying to be a bit more creative with it, which I feel like if they were able to print one out for Jamal, I feel that would have been better as opposed to, like, writing it down on pencil.
Yeah, giving him a fake advantage that he can give to someone.
Yeah, because he didn't really have, I would say, a test. He was like, oh, I've been selected. Wait, I shouldn't have been selected?
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully, because I understand from the editors and, like, all the show runners and everyone, their point of view, they can't necessarily not include this because it's a part of the story. It's not something they could have just, like, edited out. It's like, no, decisions and strategies and tribals were, based off of this stuff. So, hopefully, and I have my fingers crossed because, I want to go back to the gameplay, like, the immunities, and, like, this next episode with 2 people being eliminated through the same challenge, and, like, that's going to be super cool.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's,
it needs to get back on track. I was really hoping that our first podcast wasn't going to have an episode like this, and somehow it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this reminded me a lot of the Jeff Varner and Zeke situation.
And that's a bag of chips
Yeah.
Bag of chips. I meant to say can of worms, but I said bag of chips. I mean bag of chips, carbs.
Same thing.
At least with the worms, you get protein.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. This season just kind of got a big old tarnish on it now.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it redeems itself. I mean, I'm still gonna watch.
Yeah, it sucked because the pre-merge was so good. All episodes are good.
I know.
And then, if the merge is like this the rest of the way, gosh, this might be like the worst merge.
Yeah.
And that's sad. That's really sad.
But the optimist in me will think that, you know, like, we're gonna move away from this. You know, that part is done.
Yeah.
And then going forward, it's going to, you know, be back to Survivor how it was.
Yeah. And it's also crazy. Krishna has 10 votes received so far. It hasn't gone home.
I mean,
why is she being targeted in the merge? Who is?
It was like, if anything, I feel like she would be the least targeted person.
Yes, like right now, why are you targeting Karishma? There's way bigger threats, and like the whole thing is targeting threats right now, and they're still trying to target Karishma.
It's like, if you like, Elaine is a threat, Aaron is a threat, Tommy is a threat, Lauren is low key a threat. Missy, obviously, they were targeting her.
Yeah.
Threat. I mean, you got so many different people to choose from. Karishma should be safe.
Yeah, I know. They even mentioned, like, imagine if Nora and Karishma make it further than us.
Which...
And it's like, if you're a strategist, why would you target them right now?
Exactly.
Like, they are the perfect goats to take with you right now to the end. Like, if you have any good strategy and gameplay and good relationships, you win in a final 3 with those two.
Exactly.
Well, okay. Well, I think we've ranted enough about this episode. This was just a lot to handle.
It was emotionally taxing, as I said. But you know, next episode, fingers crossed.
Yeah, it needs to be way better. It needs to go back on track.
I feel they're definitely going to try their best with it too because of the reception for this episode.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully people find more idols. We need to get some idols.
More
idols,
and hopefully they play them right.
Yeah, and not get voted out or play them incorrectly.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week.
Okay, see ya.